Ba-da-da-da-da. Mm. Mm. Thank you for beer wishes and champagne dreams. I found my beer and I started at 12:01. Oh my God. Oh, hamster, you're getting more regular. Yeah, I know. That's because I have a cute little hamster up in the corner. See, look at that. So Piers Morgan, I think it was uncensored. So it's like, I don't know, after hours. He had some interesting points to make about some fembot shit. And so I thought, while I'm here and I still have beer left in the fridge, let's see if Piers is, correct once in a while. I think he is. I think he's probably one of the few that are just kind of down the middle at this point.
5 years on from what became known as the MeToo movement, there's a growing backlash. Some influential people argue it's become divisive, pitting the sexes against each other with an assumption of male guilt, leaving many young men feeling marginalized. Recently,
well, that's a good explanation of that, Piers. Yeah, thanks.
Two people at the forefront of that backlash, albeit with very different styles and rationales. He's psychologist Dr. Jordan Peterson.
People have been after me for a long time because I've been speaking to disaffected young men.
I mean, do you believe Piers Morgan has this Nazi on? Like, Canadian Nazi here.
Oh, what a terrible thing to do that is.
Yep, bunch of men out there kind of lost. Jordan Peterson, maybe they look up to him, they read his books, 12 Rules for Life, and etc. Oh, obviously they're terrorists and shit.
And earlier this week, I spoke to Andrew Tate, the so-called toxic male influencer who's now banned from
toxic. Look at this evil man.
Social media. The full explosive interview airs tomorrow night, but here's a little taster of that.
I believe that confident, strong men who stand up and protect and provide for women are a good thing for the world and a good force for the world. And I don't.
And it's good for women. That's kind of the guys they like. I know. It's crazy. It's it's amazing that it seems like throughout history, women have liked men who can protect and provide for them. I know. It's crazy talk.
Think that I put a magic spell on anybody. I think there's a whole bunch of men in the world who understands my value. And if men grow up to be like me, you're going to have a whole bunch of people with no criminal record, dedicated athletes who protect and provide for the people close to them, are fantastic for the economy. And I'm certainly not the worst influence out here, Piers.
I would say the one thing about Mr. Tate, I don't think you need 3 Lambos, but hey, it ain't my money. It wouldn't be for me, right? But if you want 3 Lambos, you go ahead.
Clips of both of those interviews have exploded.
3 Lamborghinis, 3 girls in bikinis.
Online, literally millions of people have been viewing them. Jordan Peterson, for example, the whole interview.
Yeah, because they want to put him down. They want to demonize this man. Oh, well, he's this and he's that. And because anyone who goes against the norm, the gynocentric society that we live in currently. Oh, hamster, what evidence do you have of that? Media, government, Hollywood, academia, everywhere you look. It's to support the women because they're oppressed. If that's not gynocentric in the West, oh well, women are disadvantaged because of evil men. And equal representation under the law. Well. Wait a minute. Well, what do you mean? But women were oppressed for hundreds of years. Well, maybe. We don't live then. We live today. So what are we talking about? Wow, but they're still somewhere. They have nowhere to go. Ask some totes. Talked about it previous video.
It's been viewed 5.5 million times on our YouTube channels, rightly or wrongly. There's clearly a huge groundswell of interest at the very least.
Like I said, I'm not a Jordan Peterson pole smoker, but I mean, he does say some interesting things, and I'm willing to give anyone a shot. Matter of fact, I was listening. Oh God, I was listening to some guy that I found out about on some channel. I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Some Nazi leader or something. It's like, yeah, okay. Yep. Let him speak so we can hear what he has to say and laugh. And just like, what's wrong with you?
In their views, if not support. So was Me Too an overdue reckoning?
See, the scary thing about such people, perhaps this guy, perhaps other people, is maybe they have a couple of things in there that aren't wrong. Know what I'm saying?
Has it become a damaging battle in a raging culture war? Isabel still with me, plus political journalist Ava Santino, conservative commentator, a young man who agrees with Peterson and Andrew Tate, Connor Thomason. Connor, welcome to the show.
Connor, clearly a Nazi.
Start with you. I found it very interesting interviewing Jordan Peterson and Andrew Tate.
He's appropriating the Irish name Connor. Or is that the Scottish name, the Highlander name?
Very controversial characters in different ways. Both positioned as a kind of kings of toxic masculinity.
Controversial because they push against the gynocentric order of the West. You can't disagree with the women. Don't you know? You get in your place, man. You know that phrase, the feminine, get back in the kitchen, make me a sandwich. See any parallels there between shut up, be silent, and go away? Don't even talk about the things that anyone with a brain and two eyeballs can see with their own eyes. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Connor.
You didn't think Jordan Peterson was that. And when it came to Andrew Tate, I couldn't really conclude after 90 minutes of grilling him. I gave him quite a hard time. I couldn't really conclude what he had done that was so bad that he had to be expunged from social media life altogether.
Because he's trying to explain how some women, not all, but some women, and the general trend of female is they want a man, as he's describing, protecting, providing. Even if she has a job and a career and all that, she still wants a guy that can do better than her. I don't know why. It's biological. It's evolutionary. I'm not arguing with it. I'm just saying that that's what he's pointing out. And Jordan, to some degree, does the same thing. Well, we can't have that. We can't point out female nature. And not because it's female nature, because everything for these people, everything for the fembots, for the alphabet mafia, it's all societal. It's not biological. Because it's societal, it must be, because then we can change it. Why do you see we see all this crap today with the alphabet mafia? It's not biological. It's societal. And if thus we can change. See, this is nothing new. This has been going on for a couple hundred years with the Enlightenment and Marxism. But go ahead.
But it showed me the sensitivity around all this. And if any man now behaves in a way that looks like it's toxic masculinity, they're expunged. Is in that process masculinity itself getting expunged and demonized?
Bingo! Piers, you're on point, bro. All right.
I would say so. I mean, I'm sure that you'll have this experience with your own relationships, Piers, in that women, if you say something controversial, whether it's something on the Peterson side of the spectrum or on the Tate side of the spectrum, a little bit more explosive or a little bit more academic, some women are very much drawn to a man who can be a bit more confrontational, say exactly what he thinks. It's the verbal new version of what gladiators used to do in the arena way back.
Well, certainly, I think Ava.
Yeah, but excuse me, if you don't mind, Andrew Tate is a showman. He says outrageous shit to get attention. The underlying message is not wrong, but he goes maybe a little over the top to get controversy. That's his thing. He's a showman. I mean, what the hell is so hard about to understand this? He's not saying anything wrong that women want this side. In general, women want this sort of guy. And then he goes over a little over the top. And then, oh my God, he's toxic. He's evil. He could sit there and say women don't like to knit on a Saturday night. They'd rather go out and get blown out, their back blown out by a freak. Oh my God, he's toxic. Well, is it true or not what he says? I think for a lot of women, it's probably true. They'd rather go out and have some fun than sit around knitting and doing crochet. It's not a controversial thing to say. It's like some women, maybe the majority, they want to do that instead of that. But then he gets a little over, he's a showman. Jordan Peterson, less so, I think. He's more of an academic. Well, you got the tie on and the white shirt. And so you got Andrew Tate. He's more of a street fighter. As a matter of fact, he was a professional street fighter. So anyway, go on. I'm sorry, Connor. Go ahead, sir.
Isabel laughing because they know that they're drawn to me in that
So
way because of
drawn to
my
you.
combative nature. But
Well, I mean, you know, I'm sure back in the day, Piers, you didn't have any trouble getting poon. You know, I'm sure.
you're smirking and laughing. I mean, there's a serious point here. A lot of
Now, the middle chick here is the one that's going to get all, but reasons and women are oppressed. They're victims. Oh my God, what about all those rapists out there? And oh my God.
men feel they're getting disenfranchised by society. They're all being over-demonized. That any attempt to be the traditional male figure is now being rubbished and called toxic.
Yeah, well, of course. Go ahead, girl. Tell us what you have to think, and then make me a sandwich.
I mean, if you really felt that and you really went out there and you were an alpha male, then you wouldn't be bothered about a bunch of women telling you that you were.
Well, you would if you get cancelled, like
as an
Andrew
alpha
Tate.
male.
If you get banned from.
I
every
mean, he's
social
hardly
media
been
platform.
cancelled. He was on your program, which is on national television.
But
so
it's the only
that's hardly a
platform actually he's had
cancellation.
for a long time because all the social media companies banned him, literally banned him.
Let me translate. Piers, shut up. I don't want to hear the reality of the situation. I have an opinion, and I'm going to talk. And if you don't let me talk, I'm a woman. You're a misogynist bastard from hell. I'm a victim of your evil. That's not really a conversation. A lot of times you hear the fembot, well, we need to have a conversation. What they want to do is you shut up. I'm going to sit here and bitch for a while. And if you say a goddamn thing, you're evil and toxic. It's not the way they have a discussion. Okay, Captain Hamster Obvious.
His email gone, his Google gone, his Facebook gone. It all went down like dominoes.
Yeah. Gone. Like that. Amazing. There's another guy, Sneeko? And another guy, a law guy, got whacked. For what? Is he saying things that offend the women or push holes in their grift that they've basically had for thousands of years over men? But I'm really oppressed, but I'm not. I'm in power. Yeah. We don't like that. We don't need any of that around here.
He's still on there, very, very prolific on there. I can't move for clips.
Yeah, but they're not
TikTok.
generated by him now.
But that's been for quite some time.
But should he
He's still
be
got
punished that way?
But what?
Yeah. Should he be canceled? It's a fair question. Because he says things that you don't like, or women at large don't like, or other men, or whatever. Should he be removed from the platform? What about this Nazi I was listening to yesterday? I don't know anything about the guy. I just heard about him in some weird video. And there was an interview with the dude, and I'm like, okay. No, put the Nazis out there. Let's hear what they have to say and laugh at them. If Andrew Tate's a freaking lunatic or whatever, let him put his shit out. And people are smart enough, at least we hope, to be able to discern. Okay, this guy's a fucking joker. What's going on here? Intelligent people would be able to determine that Andrew Tate is P.T. Barnum, 2022. But let's not underestimate the intelligence of the population.
What is punished? What is punished?
Punish is where companies take a decision, which, in my view, in this case, was perverse because they
notice how she's dancing around the topic here. I'm sure by now you have, because you're intelligent fellas and maybe a woman or two. She's not answering the question. You notice that, right? Well, but you have to define punished. You have to define it. Okay, he was removed from all his social platforms. Is that a good thing or a bad? Well, what do you mean removed from his social platforms? God almighty. It's just, they're really good at this. You got to give them credit, man. They're really good at this.
Still allow, for example, the Ayatollah of Iran to have a Twitter account.
Yes.
So there's no consistency.
But the Ayatollah of Iran, he's not as evil as Andrew Tate or Jordan Peterson, right?
Here at all.
Well, but however, we love a bit of free market. I'm sure you do, judging by that suit, which is lovely. But social media companies are private.
Nice tie. I was thinking myself. Looks good. Looks good.
Companies.
You're not
they can do whatever
objectifying,
they can do.
I'll take
whatever
all the
they like.
objectification I like.
Of course you will, yeah. All right, Isabel.
But Ava, your point about, if men were that alpha, then they wouldn't be that bothered by this, doesn't really help us when it comes to boys growing up. And that is one of my worries, that for teenage boys now, they are so terrified of the consequences of putting a foot out of line. It's hard enough being a young teenager,
Yeah.
working out how things are, working out how to do dating and all of that, without the terror that if you touch in the wrong place at the wrong time, you may find that your whole life is destroyed.
See, I
and there
like
is
that
far
terror.
too much. Well,
I like.
Excuse me. Listen to what she says very carefully.
whole life is destroyed.
I
and there
like
is
that
far
terror.
too much. Well,
I like that.
as a
I
mother
think
of
that
a
men should
teenage
be
boy, I
frightened.
don't like
Really?
that
That's the
terror.
I
most
do.
malicious thing I've ever
That
heard.
is
I think that
awful.
men should be frightened.
I think
to
you'd
touch
feel
women in a way
differently
that
if you
they're
were
not
if you
comfortable
were.
with.
But we're talking
Most men are, dear Ava. We're scared shitless at this point. Here's the problem. We never know. As we discussed in the previous video, Louis C.K. got permission, didn't he? Oh, yeah, it'd be great. Yeah, go ahead and blast your chicken. And then the next next day or the next week, he did this to me. It was abuse. It was goddamn right we're afraid. It's tough because you, dear, have all the power. You and this guy could consent, Connor, to well, I hope you have higher standards, but you two could say, hey, let's go backstage and everybody says agree. We sign papers, we do videos. Yes, I want to do this. Next day, you could say, he coerced me, and then he's done forever.
about
Yeah, but we're not talking
teenagers,
about. We're not
children.
talking about.
We're talking
yeah, but
about
it's an
young
interesting
children.
thing that you see. I would say
Yes, Piers.
that attitude actually is part of the problem too.
It
That
is.
is that's to me toxic femininity.
It
That
is.
is saying you should all be terrified, you men. If you put
Of
one,
assaulting.
well, I think we all understand what sexual
What is
assault
an
is.
assault?
What is
Men understand what sexual assault is. Yes. Of course, she's using it in the term of rape. And rape is a sexual assault, but not all sexual assault. Rape, I said it a million times. It doesn't, nobody cares.
Isabel's talking about is that young teenage clumsiness
really
in many
hard.
cases, which is now being recategorized
Mm.
as assault. Is that a problem?
It's not being recategorized as assault. It's always been assault. It's just we're finally talking about
I don't
it.
agree with that.
That's
But
ridiculous.
Teenage
You know,
boy fumbling with
A touch
teenage
on the
girl is
knee.
not,
Not
it's
even
not in
that.
most cases assault, is
Do
it?
you remember Aziz Ansari, right? Half
Yes,
the
I
heels
do.
Of Me Too. Half the heels of Harvey Weinstein, rightly being dragged through the courts, and should have got way worse than just prison time, in my opinion. Aziz Ansari had a consensual relationship with a woman. She felt a bit awkward, and
Yeah.
afterwards rescinded consent, and he was lumped in, and he had his
No, I'm
career.
with you.
She said yes all the time, and he still got canceled. Because the next day I felt bad about what I did.
on that
to
one.
cancel.
I'm with
So
you.
then why should men be afraid?
Well, good. Thank you, Ava. We appreciate you for that. Thank you.
Of that.
Because he didn't touch her without consent, did he?
No, but she,
No, he didn't. Yet he still got canceled. Do you see the problem? Do we need to draw it out on a whiteboard? Doesn't matter what she says or consents to, she can still change her mind the next day. And society fully supports that kind of nonsense. Anyone see a problem with that?
But
rescinded his
how
consent, and
are
she
young
saw
boys
that then
supposed to
as the same
navigate
thing.
this? The whole
Yeah, I
thing.
agree.
I'm thinking
you
of
need to
my
have-
teenage son. You
Oh,
know, he's-
wait, we have to do an intermission because I'm making chili right now and it's burning. So if you'll bear with me for 1 second, I'll share another video if I can find one. Yeah, I'm somewhere in here. There's probably something. All right, feminism out of fashion. All right, we'll do that one. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Oh my God, is that all you do is listen to yourself, hamster? Pretty much. I do when I want to go to sleep. Yeah, there you go. All right, there's one.
I hope it's
Go
loud
ahead.
enough. I spent my entire
I will be
20s
back shortly.
trying to
I've
get
got to
old
stir my
man's
soup.
tongues out of my mouth. So, is she trying to claim that during her 20s she was sexually assaulted by all of these old men, and she reported the crime to police, and a lot of these old men are now in jail because of what they did to her? Is that what she's saying? Or is she saying, I regret doing that? See, regret is one thing, understandable. We all do stupid shit. But claiming now that these men somehow forced you that would be crime. And I'm guessing you didn't report them to the police, did you?
You know, because they
Thus, Me Too.
were just thought, well, she's up for it. At the same time,
Well, were you? Because if you weren't,
Who
that's
the hell
crime.
is this asshat?
And it was a crime when you were in your 20s.
Who the hell is that asshat? Oh my God. He's evil. He's evil. All right, let's go back. I love it. It's fun. Isn't this fun? John G is here. Ant-Man channel is in the building. Brandon is here. I'm drinking beer. I did get my chili fixed. You know, I don't mind it. I mean, if it gets a little bit burned on the bottom, you get a little more flavor, you know, from the tomatoes and stuff kind of breaking down a little bit. But, you know, you don't want it to get too crazy. And it was boiling like nuts. I made it last night, so I know. What do you mean? You got some woman in here and you told her to make your chili, didn't you? No, Singletown Bachelor. Hello, mead. Yes, honey liquor from the Vikings. And what the hell was that? God. I had to take that in English class too. I already forgot what the hell it was. Beowulf. Thank you very much. Steve Sanchez says, I bet he's a gerbil. Well, me and Tom Cruise, you know, we have this relationship. Or is that the other guy? Oh, whatever. Something. All right. Let's see what we got here. All right. Let me blow it up for you, and then we'll continue. At least there's one reasonable female in this one. A lot of reasonable women in the world. The problem is the fembots overshadow them. Ugh, unfortunately. Okay, you guys ready? Okay, got the beer? Mohammed is in the building. Peace be upon you, sir. All right, let's go.
He's 14, 15. What's he supposed to say? Would you mind if I put
Isabel,
my
you are an
hand- I mean,
extremely
come
strong
on,
woman. I
come
know
on.
in your house you're teaching them the difference between assault and then coming on to someone.
Extremely strong woman, but in the example of Louis C.K. that we talked about in the last video, they weren't strong enough to say, no, I don't want you to jerk your chicken in front of me. Powerful. Man, I'm telling you, that's the definition of powerful right there.
I know you are.
But what we're talking about is it's been very interesting watching the Me Too movement.
Excuse me, but there are other considerations. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Time's Up movement, how it's all developed. Because a lot of very bad people, Harvey Weinstein and others, got their due comeuppance. We can all agree with that.
Yeah.
This is not even something.
No, Piers, I don't agree with that. Most of the men that were taken down in the Me Too were not convicted of anything. They were merely accused. I bet the witches in Salem and the Inquisition might have a similar opinion. But what do I know? You're just an evil man, hamster.
To be debated. We're really talking about the grey line, right? Where is that grey line?
Yeah.
How do you navigate
Mhm.
it? When
Yes.
you're an experienced adult and you've been around the block in many ways, you can navigate that much more intelligently and with emotional intelligence than you can if you're a teenage boy. And I think the point Isabel makes is a good one.
Does she have a choker? Oh, baby. How you doing? How you doing?
3 sons in their 20s. I've always taught them to be respectful to women. I believe they are. But I do think it's really hard for a 16, 17-year-old boy now in this environment to know even how to start
They are all
having
terrified.
kind of some kind of physical relationship with a woman.
Those good boys are all terrified. I know that from talking to my son. He's just like, I'm just not going there. Is that healthy?
Yes, I
The
agree.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it's very healthy. It's difficult. Being a 17, 18-year-old boy, the only thing you want to do is get off. I get it. I was there. I know it was like 40 years ago, but I remember. The only thing you want to do is blow a load. I get it. But now the game's changed. Now the rules are different. And a lot of men are saying, like Connor over here, not worth it. And then the women start complaining, but these men, we can't find anyone to date. Oddly, top shelf men like Andrew Tate and other people, they can pretty much do anything they want. Why is that? Why is there a double standard? I mean, this is a good-looking guy. You wouldn't fucking piss down his throat if his teeth were on fire.
because you believe you deserve the top shelf dude and you let him do anything. See? It's not clear cut. It's rather subjective, ain't it?
I think it is, actually. I think it's better to not have a physical relationship than to have one that could ruin a woman's life.
But then,
Okay, well, and a man's life. Okay, but deal. We agree. Let's shake hands. We won't mess with you and have a day. But that's not what they want. I mean this particular chick with the choker and the hoops.
how do they ever start?
Well, don't. If you're not 100%
Don't.
sure.
Exactly. Yeah, you're 7. Don't ever start. Just be an incel. Wait a minute, but the incels are a problem too because reasons. Maybe these incels, when they're 17, 18, back in the old days, used to, we're going down to the whorehouse. You're going to get that done. Look, the 16-year-old kid, what do you mean, Daddy? We're going to find out. Maybe we ought to do that. Instead of fucking around with this bullshit, maybe we just go pay $200, $300, $400, $500, tip well, give her $1,000, take care of the problem. Make it legal. What do you say? Yeah, you can buy it, no penalty, perfectly fine. And why do you suppose? Why do you suppose a lot of women don't support that idea? Can anyone take a guess? Why that might not be beneficial to the women?
Don't.
What are you going to have? A bunch of neutered boys who
But
never
it's
had?
so obvious.
We actually
It's
do
sort
have
of
that.
like-
Gen Z is having far less sexual relationships
Yes,
than any
they
ever
are.
before.
It's true.
And
Yeah, especially with you slags. Why fucking take the chance? I can go to a professional, pay a little bit of money, save for a few weeks at work or a couple months, get the job done professionally. Why not? What's the problem with that? I don't see a problem with that at all. I mean, if you have that need, there you go. Or here's an idea. Just do the job yourself. Know what I'm saying?
Young
Hang
people
on.
have stopped having sex.
I agree with the first part of your sentence, actually. If you're not willing to have a sexual relationship with clearly defined lines, don't have one. And so I actually told my mates at university, don't sleep around with girls. One,
listen to this. Listen to this not so subtle dig. Ready?
girls, don't bring a guy home that you don't know what he's capable of. 2, guys, don't bring a girl home if you think that possibly she could have a false accusation against you.
Okay. What did he say that was wrong? Conor McGregor. What did he say? He said, look, guys, you got to watch out for yourself. Don't be doing that kind of thing. And before you bring one home, perfectly good advice. As we discussed a couple of days ago, I brought some strangers home a couple times. Like, oh no, what the fuck was I doing? What happened in the minute you get out the freaking kitchen knife and cut off your Johnson? Who the hell knows? Most women, of course, wouldn't do that. But why take the chance? Why? What benefit? Well, but I'll get off and I got some sex. Okay. But you could also do, but it's different. I know. I'm not a virgin. I know. Yeah, it's fun. It's different. It's good. Blah, 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 blah. But is it worth it? Is it worth the potential downfall? It's a cost-benefit analysis at this point. No, I don't know if you probably wouldn't pick this one up, but Connor, you're a good-looking enough guy. You could probably, if you like women, I'm sure you could find a nice woman in a club to do the nasty. But is that really what you want with your life? What do you got? 5 minutes and you whatever. Rest of your life could be fucked up just to blow a load. Doesn't make any sense to a lot of critical thinking men and women for that matter. But these, well, why wouldn't? But what she's going to say basically is, I want the men that I want to want to fuck me, but the rest of you losers don't even try. Okay, fair deal. That's what you want. We got it. You could, no problem. But then they'll come back with, well, that's not really what I wanted. Well, that's what you said. But you didn't understand the subtlety. I'm not interested in subtlety. Fuck your subtlety. I'll go on and find another one. I don't need your bullshit. But you hate, you misogynist pig. Whatever. Sure.
I make another point here, which
I
think-
find, I mean, look, that's sense to me. When I was your age, right? How old are you?
23.
23.
Yeah.
When I was your age, the idea you would even have that sort of thought process.
Yeah, I
would
wouldn't
be
have those sort of
unthinkable.
mates that would ever cross the line. So I wouldn't have to have that
I never
conversation
said my
with any
mates.
of my friends.
Don't throw my mates in with a bunch of violent people.
And is there a
Did you hear what she said? Was that subtle or not as subtle as it could have been? She's accusing him of hanging out with rapists. And let's not couch the fucking language here. That's exactly what she just did.
Possibly she could have a false accusation against you.
Listen.
Can I make another point here,
Which I find, I mean, look, that's sense to me. When I was your age, right? How old are you?
23.
23. When I was your age, the idea you would even have that sort of thought process.
Yeah, I
would
wouldn't
be
have those sort of
unthinkable.
mates that would ever cross the line. So I wouldn't have to have that
I never said
conversation
my
with any
mates.
of my friends.
Don't throw my mates in with a bunch of violent people.
And is there,
Thank you, Connor. See what she's trying to do to this guy? She's trying to delegitimize his point of view. Well, if you hang out with a bunch of rapists, I guess you have to tell them not to rape women. It's not what he said at all, is it? That's how she interpreted it. One more time.
your age, the idea you would even have that sort of thought process.
Yeah, I
would be
wouldn't have those sort of
unthinkable.
mates that would ever cross the line. So I wouldn't have to have that
I never
conversation
said my
with any
mates.
of my friends.
Don't throw my mates in with a bunch of violent people.
And is there a certain purity here I'm detecting in a certain type of feminist who thinks that they're all unimpeachable and that it's
Yes, Piers. Oh, you finally realized this. My God. Guys, what do you think? Finally, Piers.
this is all one-way traffic and that only men can be toxic.
No, I
I'm sorry, let's give the lady fair chance. What?
Because I've got to enlighten you. I've met quite a few women in my life who are pretty toxic themselves, and I don't see the debate being framed around that at all.
No, but the point is that we're still in a situation where only 5% of rape cases actually even go to trial.
Which is ridiculous.
And here we go. And away we go. Well, she's absolutely incorrect on that. She'll never admit it. 5% of rape cases brought to justice, the courts, are convicted. 90%, something like that, of rape cases brought to the legal authorities are not guilty. Of course, she doesn't understand. She's undermining her own argument. She's saying, well, 5% of these people never. When they say this bullshit, what they mean is 90% of men accused have never spent a day in jail because of blah, 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 blah. Well, they're not guilty under the legal system. So why would they spend days in jail if they're not guilty? Dear. MeToo. Point at someone, they go away. It's not the way it works. It's not our judicial system in England, in Canada, in the United States, Australia, or the Western world. You have to prove it. And that's where the gray area gets in there. We've talked about it a million times. There's two people in the room. Who the fuck knows what happened? There's no way to tell. Judicial system seems to be actually biased in favor of the female. Oh, we can't have her testify. It's which is another topic. Go on, Piers.
But that's the
Right.
extreme end of it,
Yeah.
isn't
The
it? You're
idea-
talking
but
about
I'm
rape
talking
here.
about-
David, we can all
Yes,
agree
we are
that's wrong.
talking
We
about
can all
it.
agree that's wrong.
But okay, so even on the extreme end of it, rape doesn't even go to trial. If you're assaulted,
Bullshit. Bullshit. She is lying right now. Lying through her teeth. 90% of men accused of rape in a court of law are not convicted. Isn't that different from 90% of men? God, what are you going to do?
assaulted, and that is life changing.
Yeah.
What happened to Rose McGowan
Yeah.
with Harvey
I know
Weinstein
Rose well.
was
Yeah, but
life
these are
changing,
extreme
and
things.
she didn't get her comeuppance.
Yeah, but
She
Ava, we
lost
don't-
Did she call the police? Did Rose McGowan call the police when Harvey did whatever he did. Did she call the police? The answer is no. So how would you expect Harvey Weinstein, who did whatever he did to Rose, be imprisoned, be convicted, spend a day in jail, spend an hour in jail if you didn't call the police? Now, I've said this a dozen times. If there's some issue that women are afraid to call the police because it's all men or whatever the case may be, let's fix this problem. Let's get women officers in there who you know, would handle whatever the fuck has to be done. Let's do that. Then we'll go from there. I mean, there could be an issue where, you know, women are afraid to call men because they were just attacked. Okay, let's get some women in there, or get some, you know, gay guy, whatever the fuck it is. Figure that problem out. But you still have to have proof. Under our current judicial system, you've got to be able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this crime happened. That's the problem. And that is why MeToo.
Agree about that. But I think what has sent a shudder through all of our spines from your mouth today is the line that all young men should be terrified of any physical contact. Well, no, you didn't say it like that. You said basically of starting any physical contact with a woman.
Unless you're sure.
You said what you said, dear. You said men should be terrified of even approaching a woman, even initiating something. That's what you said. And then you tagged on at the end, well, you know, but you said it. We can go back. We can listen to what you said on tape on this show right now. That's what you said.
How does a 16-year-old boy know
when she can rescind consent on something completely nebulous?
Okay, can I ask you this? If you were going to take someone to bed and you weren't 100% sure that they wanted to go to bed with you, would you go with them?
I wouldn't.
No, excuse me. She's asking this guy if he's a rapist. I mean, do you fucking believe this shit? Let me play it again so you don't take it out of context.
When she can rescind consent on something completely nebulous.
Okay, can I ask you this? If you were going to take someone to bed and you weren't 100% sure that they wanted to go to bed with you, would you go with them?
No, I would not do that.
Then
But
that's
the point
what I'm
was,
talking about.
She's accusing this man of being a rapist and his buddies. This is the kind of shit that's being promulgated on mainstream media because, you know, men are evil. And this last video I did, well, I wonder why feminism isn't mainstream. The question, dear, and the issue that Connor is bringing up, even if I have 100%, yes, I want to do it. Let's go. Let's bump uglies. The next freaking day, she can say, I was uncomfortable and he coerced me, and get him kicked out of college or charged with rape. That's his point, dear. Do you not understand? Of course she doesn't.
Ansari was sure, for example, and then later she went and published a long piece about how she regretted it and lumped it in with Harvey Weinstein.
I mean,
Is that okay?
Ava, do you feel any of it, Ava's gone too far? Do you think the pendulum has gone too far at all?
No, I don't think it's gone far enough, actually.
Really?
I don't think we've brought anything into schools. To your point, we haven't brought any teaching into school about what is assault, what isn't. If you're worried about like 16-year-old boys not understanding what it is, bring in sexual health lessons.
Hang on. Okay, good. Yeah. Okay, here, gentlemen. By the way, prior to 1964, this, as part of the religious upbringing, they would tell you, don't rape women. Do not force a woman to have sex. Okay? It's a sin. God will kill you and throw you in hell, whatever. So, after we destroyed that, now what do we have? Now we got to get some expert. Hey, excuse me, young lads, don't force a chick to have sex. That's not what we're talking about.
teach it.
The idea, sorry, the idea that you can teach rape. is not-
Everyone knows. Every man in the entire fucking world knows that if you force a woman to have sex, it's rape. This is not some ambiguous freaking question. We know. But what you've done, dear Ava, is redefine that. And now a touch of the hand or a hug is rape. Stop with your feminist bullshit.
Not to rape is insane because they already know.
What do you mean?
That it's
Everyone knows. Everyone, Connor. Ava, everyone knows what rape is. That's not the question. And Connor is going to make an interesting point right now.
Okay, right. You're saying if boys wouldn't know what's assault and what isn't.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. The idea that rather than taking the power out of someone who can make a false accusation is what they're actually, most of them are concerned about.
That's right.
Specifically, my friends, for example, who would never dream of doing something like that. But then what the feminists fail to understand is you can educate
The
evils.
feminists.
Did you not identify yourself as a feminist study?
No, I didn't actually.
Oh, okay,
Piers
sorry.
told me
Piers
You're not a
did, so then
feminist?
that's
But Piers labelled me.
Actually, I
as
called you a
that.
toxic feminist.
okay.
I'll
that's
take
true.
that.
Well, that's
Yeah, of
wrong.
course.
Fair enough.
Yep.
But you cannot, if a rapist is willing to violate the law so violently, you cannot teach him out of that. All you can have is very harsh punishments to deter
No, because
that.
you're talking about the grey line, and the grey line is at parties of not understanding that when a woman is so inebriated that she can't stand up, boys need to understand that is
Well,
no.
that's a different
Yeah.
line.
No, you
That's
bring
No, that's a good thing to teach men. Look, if she's out of her mind drunk, do not touch her. That's a good lesson to learn. Well, but you know, I don't care what the fucking butt is. Chick's drunk, and we all know these girls that get kind of crazy. Everybody gets a little crazy once in a while. You get her a taxi, you get her somehow home, not at your place. That's the right thing to do. You don't take her to your place and you know the story. Don't do that. Now, there's a lesson that should be learned for these kids in high school or whatever. Yeah, chick can get as drunk as she wants to, and there shall be no anyway, don't deal with the drunk women. The problem is Ava, if I might add a little bit of my opinion. It has been said, even if she has one beer, she's too intoxicated to consent. What the fuck is that? You get more alcohol out of a kombucha. So if she drinks kombucha, she can't consent? What, are you out of your mind? Everyone knows. I mean, if Trix, she's drinking a bottle of vodka. We've been there. Probably ourselves were doing the same thing. Girl gets that wasted, and she's like, "I love you," and get her home safely. Do not deal with it. Simple. Now, if you young guys need this lesson, here it is. Okay, she gets that drunk. Okay, number one, there's probably a problem. Maybe. Number two, you don't want anything to do with that right now. She wants to do the fucking. Just say to her, "Hey, look, Susie, you've had a bit much to drink, but maybe we'll get together tomorrow. Give me your cell phone number or whatever." When she sobers up, things are going to be different. Don't take a drunk woman home. Now, when we get to 1 or 2 glasses of wine with dinner, see, that's where we get to the point where it's like, what are you talking about?
And something else, Ava, I would like
Yeah.
to know whether you accept that women, and particularly teenage girls and young women, sometimes give out pretty mixed signals. They give out
Yeah. Yeah, there's some of that too. But again, if there's alcohol involved to excess, no. Gentlemen, that's your lesson. Send me $29.95 to hamster.com.
mixed messages. They're not even sure what they want at any given time.
And I mean, I'm not just saying that in these times. That was the way it was when I was a kid. If she gets too great, come on now. Some of us have been there. It's like, she's all sloppy. We'll get her home. She'll sleep it off. That's the way it was done. We didn't go out and rape women because we were drunk. I mean, what is that shit? It's bullshit.
I think we're victim blaming.
I don't think
I
that's
think we're- I
victim
think
abuse.
we're- Come off
So
it.
do
No,
you,
I think
do you
I think we
accept?
are straying
do
into
you,
the
Come on,
weeds.
do
every
you,
sinew of your body
Ah.
knows what she just
do
said.
you
has a
accept
merit
women
to it.
can sometimes
It's a
give
woman
off
saying it
mixed
too. Come on.
messages? Come on, they
Look,
can.
I mean, sure, but
That's
I'm
a
not.
non-denial.
But I'm sure,
Yeah.
but I'm talking about assault.
So how are you
No, but
supposed
I
to?
don't think any of us disagree about assault. We're talking about the far greyer line of young teenage fumblings.
Yeah, exactly.
And if they've all stopped having sex, it's because they are actually terrified.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great shame if they're terrified into actually having no physical interaction with opposite
Exactly
sex.
that. And then the
How
do
other
we get
point,
past
can I
that?
make one other point, which is this whole thing of dredging
Shut up, woman. Make me a sandwich.
up allegations that are 10 or 20 years old, I think is absolutely awful.
Why?
Yeah.
Because it's a he said, she
Oh,
said. It's
Isabel,
impossible to prove.
why?
And there are people whose careers are,
Mhm.
and their lives are
it's
completely
not a-
ruined by allegations that are brought a decade or more after the event. Now, obviously, if the person was a minor at the time of the incident, or the alleged incident,
I
then
can't believe you're
fine.
saying this,
There
that we
shouldn't be
shouldn't
a
bring
s-
up historic assault claims.
I don't
That's
think
absolutely
I don't
crazy.
think you should be bringing.
Is it? No proof, no evidence, nothing. Well, this one night, I got really drunk, and that's why, guys, if she gets crazy with the tequila or whatever, the vodka, no. Get her home somehow, safely. Do not engage. I repeat, do not engage. And that's what decent men do. It's like we understand people sometimes have a little bit much. Do not engage. And not just because, you don't want to be called a rapist. You're just a decent person. It's like, yeah, I understand people get a little crazy. They're fun. They're having a good time. But do not engage. Everything's going to be a lot better in the morning. For her, she's going to start thinking clearly. And for you, it's going to be like, well, maybe next time when she's not so fucking blacked out drunk. You know what I mean? That's all.
Women who
I
would have
don't-
been too afraid to confront it at the time because they
Why?
were too young or too
Right.
powerless
I
to
said
bring it
about-
up in
I
the
said
first
about-
You
place.
see,
You-
I would actually side slightly with Ava here in the sense I don't have a problem with historic crimes. For example, Harvey Weinstein, they're all
There's got to be a
historic.
cut-off
Yeah, but,
point.
yeah, but, well, has there actually? For someone like Harvey, for someone like Harvey Weinstein, should there be a
All
cut?
right, there's a bunch of noise here. So I put the link in the all right, I'll put it again. All right. You just got to think. Got to think with your freaking head. Now I know Riggs is here. Riggs is like, God, I was in the army, these drunk chicks. Yeah, well, maybe you got lucky. Don't do it. Don't do it now, ever. She gets too drunk. Make sure she gets home safely. Everything's fine. So don't do the fucking. It's just bad all the way around. She's probably going to regret it because I was drunk, and you're going to like, what was I doing? Well, hamster, you sound like you have some experience there. Anyway, no, I've never done that. No, if there was too much drinking involved, no, didn't happen. Probably because it couldn't. All right, Mahan and outside. Country. I hear you. Yeah, it's a clusterfuck here, Mahana. There's no question about that. All right, you guys, have a good day. I'm going to get a beer. Maybe we'll do another one. Thank you for coming by. I'll see you later. Bye.